So this, to me, is one of the best looking Ferraris in a very, very long time. I would say since 2010, when the 458 came out and the Pininfarina era of designing Ferraris. I think they're heading back to that type of styling now, and I'm really happy to see what they decided to do with the 296. It's also a smaller package. It's just a smaller sized Ferrari, going back to some old traditional proportions like the 250 and the Dino. It has some inspiration from that as well. It's just an interesting approach, and we've reached the point where you can't stylize the cars anymore. We've seen this with a bunch of different brands, going back to a a lot more simpler approach to its styling and the lines. Just have a look at the great example with Ferrari is just you just have to go back to the original, the 458. The proportions of the 458, the lines, the styling, the graphics. And Ferrari took that package and then applied more and more things onto that package, and the end result after the 488 is the F8 Tributo, which you can see. I mean, maybe we're not all gonna agree on it, but to me the F8 Tributo is just a way overstyled car, and it does have too many irregularities in the chamfers and in the radiuses and the thicknesses of the graphics that it doesn't really make sense. All the fins in the front and all of that stuff, it looks way too overstyled. So this is a welcomed approach, for me at least, to see the 296 and the Roma as well is a very beautiful, going back to these traditional front engine GT cars that are not necessarily the fastest on track, but they will take you very comfortably from London to Paris, for example, on a long road trip in a Continental Cruiser style vehicle. I don't think the 296 needs a lot of changes, but why I'm doing this redesigns is because I wanted to address the comments that I saw, and some of them actually made sense and had me reconsider the design of this car, and it would just be interesting to see what would happen if we made these small changes to the car. And I think when I was doing this, this is one of these typical redesigns where you don't have to do a lot to have a big impact on the end result. Specifically, I think the front, the headlights, they might look a little too big, but you have to think about the size of the overall car. This is not a big car, so having the headlights going far up on the side is going to distinguish the car and also give it a clear identity at night. And now I'm jumping into the rear view here and doing a couple of changes to the rear. For example, the big one being the F8 Tributo taillights, adding those to the car. And also, usually I'm not a fan of cars manufacturers when they put 21 inches in the rear and 20s in the front, for example, and different dimensions. I'm usually not a fan of that, but in this case, same with the 458, you have such a thick, massive, beefy rear tire that it actually looks smaller than the front one. So in this case, we might want to add a 21 in the rear and 20 in the front, because it all makes sense. It has a functionality too. You need beefier tires in the rear, specifically if you're dealing with 818 horsepower like we do in the 296, that propels the car from 0 to 60 or 0 to 100 kilometers an hour in just 2.9 seconds with a top speed of 205 miles per hour, or about 325 kilometers per hour, something like that. You need beefy rear tires, but I don't think that should come at the cost of the wheels kind of hiding within a beefy tire. I still want to have the wheel fill out the tire just like we have in the front as well.